Beloved chosen one, settle into this moment. Breathe deeply and allow the quiet solitude of this hour to wrap around your spirit like a familiar, comforting shawl. This message is not a hurried call to action, nor is it a dramatic revelation meant to stir anxiety. Instead, it is a simple, peaceful affirmation. It is an invitation to witness the subtle, yet monumental shift that occurred within you at the threshold of this new day. Do you recall the moment the alarm sounded, or perhaps before it even had the chance? That gentle, almost imperceptible tremor in your spirit, urging you toward consciousness. It was not merely the biological impulse to wake, but the quiet whisper of your divine appointment, waiting patiently for you to acknowledge its presence. We often speak of grand spiritual acts, of mighty prayers that shake the foundations of the heavens, or of dramatic trials of faith. But true spiritual maturity, the kind that marks the soul of a chosen one, is woven into the fabric of the mundane, the quiet, and the everyday. It is found in the almost silent choices you make before the world has even stirred. This morning, you faced the invisible test. You faced the gravitational pull of the comfortable mattress, the alluring promise of 5 more minutes of oblivion, and the temptation of allowing the day's anxieties to rush in before a single word of gratitude was uttered. Yet, you rose, not with haste, but with intention. You stepped out of the shadow of sleep and into the deliberate light of purpose, this quiet, solitary action, this simple act of dedicating the first fruits of your time, your energy, and your attention. This is the definitive proof. This is the evidence etched into the first moments of your consciousness that God truly comes first in your life. It is the spiritual discipline of the dawn, a cornerstone often overlooked in the architecture of destiny. The world clamors for attention. It demands your immediate reaction to notifications, emails, and obligations. But you, the one set apart, understood the higher geometry of time. You knew intrinsically that if you give the opening moments to the divine, every subsequent moment of the day is sanctified, protected, and aligned. This is the slow burning fire of devotion that sets the pace for your journey. This morning, you did not merely wake up, you offered your existence back to its source. You began the day not as a passive participant, but as an active, consecrated vessel. Let us now reflect slowly on the 7 quiet proofs of this dedication. Point 1, the victory over immediate distraction. The moment the veil of sleep lifts, the modern world presents us with an insidious, unseen test. Before our consciousness fully coalesces, before the pineal gland's nightly melatonin production truly ceases, a deeply ingrained, almost primal compulsion takes hold, the urge to reach for the nearest source of instant digital stimulation. This is not merely a habit, it is a conditioned reflex, a physiological and psychological response cultivated by the sophisticated, multi-billion-dollar attention economy. It's a reach for the phone, the shimmering portal to the digital sphere, a place where, as the script suggests, we consume the worries, anxieties, and engineered dopamine hits of others before establishing our own energetic equilibrium. However, the first true measurable proof of spiritual commitment, the initial victory in the day's battle for the soul, lies precisely in what you did not reach for. To resist this gravitational pull toward the screen is an act of profound self-mastery, a declaration of cognitive sovereignty. Our brains are hardwired for novelty and reward. The constant stream of notifications, emails, and headlines triggers the release of dopamine, creating a rapid feedback loop that makes checking the phone an incredibly potent and addictive morning ritual. By choosing not to engage, you are essentially performing a subtle yet powerful neurological counter-conditioning. You are deliberately starving the reward system of its expected instant gratification. This deliberate pause creates a crucial temporal and mental boundary between the sacred inner world, the nascent space of quiet reflection and emerging intention, and the demanding, often chaotic, external noise. This boundary is the foundation of spiritual life, acting as a psychological firewall against the immediate imposition of the world's agenda upon your freshly awakened consciousness. Historically, this concept aligns with ancient spiritual disciplines, from the monastic Lectio Divina to the Stoic practice of prohairesis, our fundamental power of choice. The Stoics believed the only thing truly within our control is our judgment and our will. The immediate morning choice embodies this. We can choose to react passively to the world's insistent clamor, or we can proactively set the internal compass by making the immediate focus not outward, but upward or inward toward deliberate intention. You are utilizing a principle that energy psychologists often describe as attentional prioritization. This choice signals a non-negotiable truth to your spirit and your subconscious. Communion is the priority. This communion might be prayer, meditation, conscious breathing, or simply setting an affirmation, but its essence is establishing a connection with the highest, most authentic part of the self before engaging with the lowest common denominator of the digital crowd. Furthermore, this act is a vital step in reversing what philosopher Timothy Morton terms hyper-object anxiety, the overwhelming stress caused by confronting massive, incomprehensible problems like climate change, global politics, or an endless news cycle the moment we wake up. By withholding attention, we preserve our finite daily resource of ego depletion, a concept in social psychology that suggests our willpower is a limited resource that is drained by making choices and exerting self-control. By deferring the energy-draining decisions of the digital world, we conserve this vital resource for the intentional, life-affirming choices that truly matter. This small, unreached gesture is therefore not passive. It is an active assertion of sovereignty over one's own attention, time, and emotional state, a powerful ritual that sets the trajectory for a day lived in alignment, making it the most understated yet impactful proof of spiritual commitment one can make. Point 2, the sanctification of the first breath. Dive into the quiet miracle of your morning routine, specifically that often overlooked moment when your very first conscious thought alights upon gratitude. This seemingly simple mental act is, in fact, a profound and ancient spiritual technology, the act of sanctification. To sanctify means to set apart as holy or to make pure, and in this context, you aren't just feeling good, you are literally purifying and consecrating the unmanifested potential of the next 24 hours. Imagine the day ahead as a blank canvas. Your initial thought of gratitude is the first, most powerful brushstroke, defining the emotional palette for everything that follows. This concept resonates deeply within the quantum realm and ancient wisdom traditions alike. Physics suggests that the observer influences the observed reality. Similarly, your first focused thought acts as the primary observer field for your subjective experience of time. By consciously directing that initial burst of waking energy toward appreciation, a non-local high-frequency emotion, you establish a powerful, positive, vibrational set point. This isn't merely positive thinking, it's a measurable shift in your psycho-spiritual electromagnetic signature. The brain's neural pathways, guided by this first thought, begin to preferentially seek out evidence of goodness and abundance throughout the day, operating on what psychologists call the reticular activating system, RAS. The RAS is the brain's filter, and when you feed it gratitude as its first command, it prioritizes scanning the environment for things to be thankful for, effectively wiring your consciousness for prosperity, not scarcity. The true genius of this practice lies in its specificity, acknowledging the giver before admiring the gifts. Most people rush immediately to specific external gratitudes, a cup of coffee, the sunny weather, a pending promotion. While lovely, these are conditional expressions. The spiritual act of sanctification, as you performed it, goes deeper. It is an unconditional thankfulness for the sheer fact of existence itself, for the breath, the awareness, and the opportunity of life. This acknowledgement proves that your foundational operating system is rooted in abundance, not lack. A mind rooted in lack anxiously assesses what it doesn't have. A mind rooted in abundance recognizes that life itself is the primary, non-negotiable asset. This perspective shift transforms gratitude from a conditional transaction, I am thankful if, into an inherent, non-conditional state of being, I am thankful therefore. Furthermore, this quiet moment represents a perfect sacrifice of praise. In ancient traditions, a sacrifice wasn't always about giving something up. It was often about giving something first and best. Your initial purest thought, untainted by the day's coming worries or demands, is the most valuable offering you possess. By directing it consciously, you are performing an act of spiritual discipline that requires no external ritual, no altar, and no audience. It is a private, powerful declaration of faith in the inherent goodness of the universe and an immediate rejection of the victim mentality. This is a unique, self-contained feedback loop. The gratitude for life fosters the feeling of abundance, which in turn magnetically draws more experiences worthy of gratitude, thus solidifying an upward spiral of well-being. This single deliberate thought sets the kinetic energy of your soul for high-frequency engagement with the world, making the subsequent 24 hours less an accident of fate and more a conscious, co-created journey. Point 3, the discipline of the empty space. Step into the often chaotic symphony of modern life, and you'll find that the morning, that crucial hinge between sleep and the day's demands, is often immediately filled with a cacophony. The pervasive hum of the refrigerator is quickly drowned out by the blare of a news report, the intrusive jingle of pop music designed for rapid consumption, or the endless scroll and notification chimes of a digital device. For the majority, this noise acts as a comfort blanket, a form of low-level stimulation that masks the deeper, sometimes uncomfortable, silence of the soul. Yet, the truly chosen one, the individual committed to a path of profound personal and spiritual growth, demonstrates an immediate, almost magnetic aversion to this clamor. They intuitively understand that this empty space, the quiet corner sought or actively created amidst the rush, is not a void to be feared, but a fertile ground for a more meaningful existence. This deliberate act is a sophisticated form of spiritual technology, a concept echoed through millennia in both philosophy and neuroscience. This understanding of quietude transcends mere personal preference. It is a profound act of trust and preparation. In fact, many foundational spiritual narratives across the Abrahamic faiths emphasize this point. Consider the prophet Elijah, who, After witnessing the fury of a mighty wind, an earthquake, and a raging fire on Mount Horeb, found that God was not in any of these grand, dramatic spectacles. Instead, the divine revelation came in a sound of sheer silence, a kol demama daka in the original Hebrew, often translated as a still, small voice. This ancient text serves as a powerful metaphor. The human mind, when cluttered with the storm of external input, simply cannot register the subtle, high-fidelity signal of inner guidance or divine insight. The chosen one models this truth by making their internal world a calm sanctuary, demonstrating an unwavering faith that the most significant communication is a whisper, not a shout, a lesson that requires refined attention. On a purely factual and scientific level, this commitment to silence is equally compelling and unique. Noise pollution, even at low levels, is a physiological stressor that elevates cortisol, the primary stress hormone, and adrenaline. Conversely, studies utilizing functional magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI, have shown that periods of deep silence significantly activate the default mode network, DMN, in the brain, the area associated with self-referential thought, memory consolidation, and future planning. This quiet activation is essential for autobiographical planning, the process by which we integrate our experiences, solidify our identity, and make conscious choices about our life's direction. By choosing silence, the chosen one is not merely being quiet. They are engaging in a necessary neural decluttering process. They are refusing to allow the constant stimulation to hijack their attention and executive function, ensuring their mental landscape remains clean and receptive, ready to absorb profound insights rather than shallow information. This refusal to clutter the mental space is, therefore, the highest form of spiritual preparation, because it physically and psychologically optimizes the self for genuine intimacy with the Creator, or for the non-theist with their own highest self and purpose. Above all fleeting stimulation, the dopamine hit of social media, the easy distraction of a morning show, they crave this profound, unifying connection, proving their singular focus and making their silence a captivating statement of ultimate priority. Point 4, the prioritization of the unseen over the urgent. That small intentional pause at the dawn of a new day, that moment you dedicate to prayer, meditation, or scriptural study before plunging into the maelstrom of emails, deadlines, and urgent to-dos, is not merely a spiritual practice. It is a profound act of theological and psychological warfare against the tyranny of the temporal. It's a captivating declaration of allegiance, a silent yet seismic shift in the gravitational pull of your daily life. By placing an eternal matters first flag in the soil of your schedule, you are tapping into a deeply rooted concept echoed across millennia and various spiritual traditions. The principle that true, lasting sustenance and success must flow from an internal, transcendent source, not solely from external, frantic exertion. This practice, often referred to as seeking first in Christian tradition, or establishing kavanah, intention, in Judaism, or niyyah in Islam, radically reframes the entire day. When you intentionally step away from the immediate clamor to commune with the divine or focus on wisdom literature, you are making a powerful, evidence-based statement about the true hierarchy of values. The modern world operates under the illusion of chronos, time measured by the clock, characterized by a relentless ticking pressure to produce. By contrast, your quiet morning ritual introduces the concept of kairos, a Greek term that signifies not clock time, but the opportune moment, a sacred, qualitative time where things of true, eternal significance happen. You are, quite literally, giving your mind a metaphysical map before it navigates the physical territory of the day. This isn't passive waiting, it's active, strategic alignment. Factual backing for this discipline is found in both ancient wisdom and modern cognitive science. The Protestant work ethic, while often associated with capitalism, initially emphasized that meaningful labor follows spiritual consecration, not the other way around. Psychologically, studies on attentional focus confirm that the first hour of waking sets the trajectory for the day's emotional and cognitive biases. By filling that crucial window with content that is transcendent, hopeful, and guiding, you are essentially preloading your mental operating system with virtues like patience, perspective, and purpose, rather than allowing it to default to anxiety, reactivity, and scarcity. This is the secret mechanism of the mature spirit, recognizing that every earthly task, whether it's closing a deal, raising a child, or solving a complex equation, is best handled when the soul is anchored to something unshakable. You are not waiting for success to happen. You are choosing the source from which true success, defined as peace plus productivity, must flow. This unique decision to put God's agenda, the agenda of love, patience, and truth, at the top of your list transforms all the subsequent urgent tasks into mere details of a divinely ordered plan, shifting them from burdens to opportunities for expression. It is a stunning, sophisticated maneuver of faith, proving that the quietest moments hold the most revolutionary power. Point 5. The slow, deliberate movement. The morning sun, slanting through the window, catches you in a moment of profound, almost subversive stillness. You chose not the frantic sprint of the modern world, but the anointed path of gentle, deliberate movement. This is not mere procrastination or idleness. It is a spiritual discipline, a tangible reflection of the divine's own unhurried nature. In a culture obsessed with efficiency and the relentless pursuit of speed, your choice to move without undue hurry is a radical act of faith and self-possession. Think of the cosmos itself. It does not rush its processes. Stars are born, live, and die over billions of years. Mountains rise and fall across geological epochs. The very fabric of creation demonstrates a majestic, confident patience, a timeline that dwarfs the petty urgency of human deadlines. By granting yourself the grace to be slow, you are aligning your personal rhythm with this eternal cosmic tempo. This intentional slowness is the antithesis of flight. Speed, in a spiritual context, often indicates a form of fear, the fear of missing out, the fear of confrontation, the fear of the void, or most profoundly, the fear of the present moment. When we rush, we are often trying to outrun an uncomfortable reality, an unresolved emotion, or the profound silence that demands introspection. We sprint away from our current circumstances, trying to leapfrog to a perceived future salvation. Conversely, your deliberate, measured pace proves a powerful truth. You are not running from your life, but walking into your destiny. This walk is an act of acceptance. It signifies that you trust the ground beneath your feet and have made peace with the unfolding present. The destination is important, but the journey, the very texture of your daily experience, is recognized as sacred. Consider the biological and psychological factual information that underpins this spiritual concept. When we operate at high speed, our bodies are constantly in a state of mild or acute stress. The sympathetic nervous system, often called the fight or flight response, is activated, releasing cortisol and adrenaline. While useful for escaping a physical threat, chronic activation impairs cognitive function, memory, and creativity. By contrast, the intentional adoption of an unhurried pace activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest system. This shift lowers the heart rate, improves digestion, and, crucially, enhances the function of the prefrontal cortex, the area of the brain responsible for complex planning, decision-making, and moral behavior. Your slow, gentle movement is, therefore, a neurobiological act of spiritual confidence. It is literally calming your body and clearing your mind to receive divine inspiration and make decisions rooted in wisdom, not panic. This intentional gait reveals a spiritual confidence in the timing and providence of the divine. It is a profound, non-verbal declaration. I trust that everything I need will be provided, and everything that is meant for me will not pass me by. This conviction is rooted in the factual premise that genuine success, destiny, is rarely achieved through panicked reaction, but through sustained, consistent, thoughtful action. The slow burn of the candle illuminates the room far longer and more reliably than the brief explosive flash of a firecracker. Your commitment to a slower rhythm allows you the vital space for true discernment. It is in this spaciousness that we can hear the still, small voice guiding us, instead of the clamorous noise of the ego and the marketplace. To walk deliberately is to choose clarity over chaos, presence over panic, and eternal providence over temporal pressure. You are walking like the royalty of the anointed path, confidently, intentionally, and without fear of the moment. Point 6, the acknowledgement of inner warfare. Every individual walking the path of the chosen one understands that the most profound and continuous battlefield is not a grand external conflict, but the highly personalized terrain of the human mind. This morning's quiet, almost unnoticed act of disciplined replacement of anxiety with faith is in fact the most potent and foundational spiritual exercise you engage in. It's a moment-by-moment demonstration of your anointing, transforming the often chaotic landscape of thought into a sanctuary of intentional focus. This isn't merely positive thinking. It is a sophisticated, deeply intentional form of cognitive sanctification, rooted in millennia of spiritual and philosophical wisdom. The ancient Stoics, long before the modern concept of mindfulness, understood the principle that we are troubled not by things, but by the opinions we hold about things. They called for an inner fortress, a citadel, where reason could hold sway over destructive passion, a concept seamlessly echoed in the spiritual mandate to replace worry with divine truth. The human brain, a 3-pound universe of electrical activity, is estimated to generate between 50,000 and 70,000 thoughts per day. Factual data suggests that for most individuals, up to 80% of these thoughts can be negative, and over 95% are simply repetitions of what was thought the day before. This biological and behavioral predisposition toward repetition and negativity is the spiritual adversary's primary point of ingress. An old worry trying to intrude this morning isn't just an inconvenience, it's the default, energetically efficient, and scientifically proven pathway of a less sanctified mind. When you, as the chosen one, calmly, gently replace them with truth, you executed a powerful act of neuroplasticity. You forced your prefrontal cortex, the seat of executive function, decision-making, and goal orientation, to override the deeply ingrained patterns of the limbic system, the primal emotional center responsible for fear and anxiety. This disciplined choice is the tangible expression of spiritual authority, proving you are actively remodeling your neural architecture to align with higher spiritual frequencies. This disciplined replacement is the daily work of the anointed because it is a continuous process of inner sanitation. Consider the biological imperative of the human stress response. Anxiety releases cortisol, a hormone that, while life-saving in a true crisis, becomes corrosive when chronically elevated, suppressing the immune system and damaging memory centers. When you introduce faith, a deep, unshakable conviction in a benevolent higher order, you are not just reciting words, you are chemically and electrically altering your internal environment. You are triggering the release of beneficial neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, physically calming the fear response and strengthening the very neural pathways associated with peace and intentionality. This scientific underpinning makes the spiritual tool incredibly potent. Your faith is literally the antidote to the physiological stress of the world. Furthermore, this continuous, quiet process of inner purification is what validates the title of the chosen one. It is not the grand miracles that define the true spiritual warrior, but the consistency of the small interior victories. The ability to pivot a destructive affirmation into a declarative truth is the evidence that the spiritual gifts are not dormant, but are being actively utilized. Each successful replacement is a micro-victory that incrementally increases your spiritual capacity, making the next intrusion easier to dismiss. You are engaging in a quiet but continuous process of inner sanctification, building a personal spiritual reservoir that insulates you from external chaos. By mastering the internal dialogue, you are preparing yourself to meet any external challenge with an unwavering foundation, confirming that the spiritual battle is indeed won, thought by intentional thought, on the mental battlefield of the soul. The quiet resolve you displayed this morning is the greatest testament to the power flowing through you. Point 7, the preparation for the unknown. The seemingly simple act of a morning dedication is, at its core, one of the most sophisticated and powerful psychological and spiritual technologies known to humanity. It is an act of proactive surrender, a foundational step in what philosophers and theologians often refer to as amor fati, the love of one's fate. Far from being a mere ritual or a hopeful wish list, this deliberate alignment of the spirit before the day begins is a profoundly educational exercise in non-attachment and present moment awareness, acting as a crucial preparation for a future that, by its very nature, is an unforeseeable cascade of variables. Think of the ancient Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius, who would perform a similar mental rehearsal each morning, not to predict the day's events, but to internally fortify his character against external misfortune. He understood that the only true control lies in one's response, a concept echoed in modern cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. This dedication is a non-negotiable commitment to being fully present and morally congruent, irrespective of the day's script. When you dedicate your spirit at dawn, you are not engaging in divination. You are not demanding a crystal ball view of traffic jams, unexpected job opportunities, or personal crises. Instead, you are engaging in a magnificent, high-stakes trade-off. You trade the illusion of control for the reality of resilience. You are proving, moment by moment, your profound trust in the unseen hand. whether you label that hand as providence, the universal intelligence, or the predictable laws of a chaotic yet ordered cosmos. This commitment transforms an often anxious anticipation of the unknown into a confident anticipation of your own inner fortitude. It's an intellectual and emotional wager on your own character, affirming that the strength to take the next step is infinitely more valuable than a perfect predetermined roadmap. The moment you accept that the map is irrelevant, you empower yourself to navigate any terrain. Furthermore, this practice is a fascinating blend of mystical belief and neurological reality. By deliberately setting an intention and grounding yourself in a higher purpose or belief system early in the morning, you are effectively preloading your mind's operating system. This process helps to engage the prefrontal cortex, the seat of executive function, rational thought, and moral behavior, before the limbic system, the source of immediate, often reactive emotional responses, is fully activated by external stressors. The renowned psychiatrist Viktor Frankl, a survivor of the Holocaust, encapsulated this principle by observing that the last human freedom is the ability to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. Your morning dedication is precisely that choice, a preemptive selection of the attitude of faith, perseverance, and ethical congruence. You are not waiting for a challenge to determine your disposition. You are determining your disposition before the challenge even appears on the horizon. This commitment to alignment, before knowing the day's challenges, is the clearest, most unambiguous proof that your faith is not conditional but absolute. Conditional faith says, I will believe if you give me an easy day, or if this specific thing works out. Absolute faith, however, declares, I dedicate my spirit to integrity and resilience, irrespective of what comes, for I trust that I will be given the necessary strength to meet it. It is the profound difference between demanding a gift and accepting a task. It's the ultimate intellectual humility, coupled with an unparalleled spiritual audacity. This daily ritual is a psychological anchor that remains fixed even as the tides of the day rush in, transforming the unpredictable daily grind from a source of fear into a proving ground for unconquerable inner peace. Take a final deep breath. Chosen one. Let the stillness settle around you like a soft morning cloak, reminding you that what you did today was not small, not ordinary, and certainly not unnoticed. Rest in the knowledge and that your morning commitment was seen, felt, and honored in the spiritual realms. You chose alignment over distraction, devotion over noise, and presence over the pull of the world. In Scripture, God often rewarded the quiet, unseen faith of his people. Elijah heard God not in the earthquake or the fire, but in the gentle whisper. Daniel prayed 3 times a day in private, long before the lion's den miracle became public. Your quiet consistency places you in that same lineage of spiritual discipline. Psychology even shows that morning routines strengthen clarity, focus, and emotional stability, proving that what you do in solitude shapes who you are in the world. There is no need for grand pronouncements or visible spectacle. The greatest acts of faith have always been the quiet ones, the prayers whispered in solitude, the inner battles no one applauds, and the choices made when no one else is watching. By honoring the dawn, you synchronize your spirit with a universal rhythm. Studies reveal that early morning light increases serotonin and regulates the body's internal clock, bringing peace and stability. While spiritually it symbolizes renewal, awakening, and divine clarity. So continue to honor the quiet dawn. Continue to prioritize the gentle guiding voice. You are on the right path. The peace you cultivated this morning is not temporary. It becomes a shield, a spiritual armor that carries you through challenges, unexpected moments, and the noise of the day. And above all, may the Father's love be the unmoving ground beneath your feet, steadying you with every step. Walk forward today knowing you have already won the most important battle, the battle for your alignment, your intention, and your spirit. Go forth in peace, for heaven has already acknowledged your victory. Amen.